It has been a while. I have been very busy and I'm going to tell you all about it in this video, what I've been up to the last few weeks. Today I'm going to trim some more blocks. I'm working on a scrappy quilt. Okay, these are the quilt blocks. They're going to be cut down to 4-inch squares first. After we trim the blocks today, I thought also that I would show you my plans for this quilt. So other people on the internet are making this quilt. Terry Rowland believe started this trend and came up with this quilt block and had videos about it. Lots of other YouTubers are making this quilt as well. So I follow Kate from the Homely House and she was making one. And they typically are the same block, the whole quilt. I did my calculations and that's like a lot of blocks. It was close to 900 blocks. And I am a very busy person. I work full time, I'm a teacher. So when I discovered how many blocks I would need, I started thinking about other ideas, patterns that I could use the blocks and just do it my way a little bit differently. So I've drawn up a plan on my iPad and I'm going to show you that in this video. So stay tuned. Thank you so much to all the new subscribers that have jumped on board the last month or so. I really appreciate how this little community is growing. Please, please, please say hello in the comments and tell me where you're from, because I love reading the comments. I love replying to everybody and forming friendships with you all, and that brings me joy. So please say hello and let's get started. Let's go upstairs, and these need to be ironed, so let's do that first. Okay, when I press them from the back first, and make sure my seams are pointing away from the center square, and then I give them a press on the front as well. I love ironing, by the way, especially quilt blocks. So it's recently been winter school holidays in Australia. So we have 2 weeks off, end of June, start of July. And I'm a school teacher. I have 2 high school age students as well. And so for our holiday, although I shouldn't talk about the children, because we didn't bring them with us, my husband and I went out to a music festival in the middle of Australia, it feels like. So it is the most remote music festival in the world. It's called the Big Red Bash, and it is on the edge of the Simpson Desert. It is around 1,600 kilometers west of Brisbane, where I live. It took us 2.5 days to drive there. It was about 20 hours. This was our second year going there, because we had so much fun last year. This year it was bitterly, bitterly cold, and I was freezing cold the whole time, and that took some of the pleasure out of it, to be honest, because we camp and we were sleeping in a tent or a swag. So on our drive there, we just pull out the swag because it is quicker. And then when we got there and we set up, because we were going to be there for 6 nights, because we got there a bit early, we set up the tent. The other thing that happened is it rained on us the first night at Birdsville, and that whole first day we were there, it was raining, so I stayed in the tent the whole day. So I'm really selling it, but it was really fun. It's always great music. It's all Australian acts and a lot of music from the 80s and 90s. So I'm going to show you, while I finish up ironing these, I'm going to show you some of my footage. I filmed us traveling there, camping, and what our tent setup is like, and some of the music, just out of interest for you. If you're not interested in camping whatsoever, maybe just skip forward a minute or so, but I'll see you back here. Along the way we stopped in Charlotte Plains, had this cute little bar and it had hot springs. So I went in to the hot springs and I said, Dean, film me. But as you can see, I'm actually shocked at how hot it is. It was 47 degrees and I'm like, it's so hot. But once we got in, it was beautiful.
You good?
You go and check that ICB out over there.
She's gonna stare at us. Not gonna move.
I reckon, right?
Here is our site for the duration of the festival, and our tent has no poles. It actually has 3 archways of air, so it is really quite quick to put up, as you can see us doing now, and it's up. Good morning. It pelted down last night. We have water in the tent. We have mud everywhere. Fun, fun. Okay, I need long arms to fit Dean in. It's my husband. And then you can see over in the distance. Can I zoom in? No. The sand dune called the Big Red, so we'll go up there next. Oh, I wasn't even recording. But first, donut.
Oh, let's go barefoot.
Good morning. Had a really, really freezing night. I feel like I haven't slept much at all because I was so cold and my bones are cold, like my hips are hurting. Dean's made me a cup of coffee and brought it into the tent for me, and I've put his sleeping bag on me as well now that he's out. Oh man, this concert better be worth it. The rain and the cold. It was fun last night dancing to the DJ. So anyway, officially the concert starts today, day 1. So we've got 3 days, but the nights are bitterly cold, so I might be
a zombie by the end of it with no sleep. Alright, bye everyone. So I'm feeling much better, a little warmer. I had a beautiful hot shower that Dean prepared me, so I will I'll show you what he has. This is a new shower that we haven't had camping before. I'll show you. So it plugs into this inverter. This is our little shower. It goes into a bucket. He put boiling water in there for me and cold water, so it was warm, and then turn it off and on, and it goes down into that hole. Day 2, and there is a drag race going on. So they all started up at the top of the sand dune, and then they ran past us. Oh, damn! Come on, can't do this! This was to raise money for the Royal Flying Doctor Service that provide medical help in regional and remote Australia. Everywhere you go, you always take the weather with you. Everywhere you go, you always take the weather with you. You always take the weather.
Good evening, Birdsville. Put your hands in the air if you're ready to rock. Come on. Be a mountain, I'd rather be a river. 'Cause water flow can wash out you away. You wanna be the fly, I wanna get high. You wanted me to be a mountain, I'd rather be a river. That's in the end. It's one of the greatest songs ever written, in my humble opinion. That's a really great honor for me to sing the great songs of INXS. I was standing, you were there. Two worlds collided, and they could never tear us apart.
And then time for our long drive home. I hope you enjoyed that little glimpse into my holiday. So my husband is already talking about going next year. But I said, you better buy a caravan or a camper van before then, because I'm not camping in the desert again. But he'll probably talk me into it. So the next thing that happened is we got home on a Sunday morning. I wake up feeling stuffed up in the nose, sore throat, headache, did a COVID test. I had COVID. So it is a habit of mine to go to music festivals and get COVID. I also got COVID when I went to the Byron Bay Blues Festival a few years ago. So anyway, I had to have a few days off school and obviously just the week of feeling ill and having a stuffy nose. So that was not pleasant. Anyway, I'm just finishing these blocks and I'll turn the camera and we'll have a look at them all. These are all just random fabrics, scrappy quilt. So just using up all the different pieces of fabric that I have collected over the years. So we have batiks, we have hand-dyed fabrics, I'm going to trim some blocks with you. I trim them with scissors. You can do it with a rotary cutter, obviously. This is my 4-inch square, so I simply pop it over the top. I do try and get the middle square to be perpendicular at right angles. I just try and line up the middle square with some of my lines on my ruler. I get an erasable pen, but it won't really matter what pen you get because you're going to be trimming right on the line. And I just draw around my square like so. And then I sit and cut them with scissors. So the reason I do it this way is I just find it more relaxing, and I can sit on the couch and watch telly, whereas if you're rotary cutting, I don't know, I kind of feel like you need to stand up for that. When I trim, I cut ever so slightly on the inside of the line that I drew, just to get it as precise as possible to the 4-inch square. So, the next thing that happened after COVID, well, during COVID, my granny passed away. So, this incredible woman was aged 101. She would have been 102 next month. And here is my granny on her 100th birthday, when she received a letter from Queen Elizabeth, which she was so proud about. And those big blue eyes, that's where our family gets their blue eyes from. And she took a fall and then just went to sleep, and she slept for a week. Apparently wasn't in any pain and just obviously not eating and drinking. It was just her time, body ran out. And so that was happening while I had COVID, or it happened during COVID, and then a week and a half later, we travelled down to Sydney for her funeral. So while it was, all funerals are sad, it was, because she was 101 and we, you know, people don't live forever, and it was such a celebration of her life. The mass was so perfect, and it was lovely catching up with all my aunts and uncles, cousins, etc. And we hadn't seen them in a few years, and it was lovely to have my children that were now older to be able to see everyone, for my family to see my children as young adults, like adolescents, as opposed to just children, babies.
So it was really a lovely day and a lovely time at the wake, and we only flew home. So we drove down because my husband was going off in the car back to our hometown of Mildura, and then the three of us flew home with my sister and my brother, and yeah, so that is why I haven't had a video from me for a while. As you can tell, I've been busy. But before you go, I want to show you my plan on the iPad. So I'm really excited about this quilt. I think it's going to look fantastic. But let me go get my iPad and I'll give you a rundown of what I'm doing, and I'll show you what program I use to design this quilt, because it might be useful for you. Anyway, that's all.
Ta-da! This is what I'm thinking. Each of these little tiny squares, the coloured ones, are one of my 4-inch blocks. So my idea, so I don't have to make so many blocks, is to have giant navy squares included. I love the idea of having the blocks on point, okay, going diagonally. And I have done calculations, as you can see around here. I used Pythagoras in real life. So the grey writing was me calculating. I at first made this even bigger, right? And I had to count up how many squares across this way, and when they're finished, they're 3.5 inches. So I knew that length. So I was trying to work out how long my quilt was going to be, and my husband helped me with some of the maths, and we worked it out that it was going to be too big. So then I chopped 2 sides off and recounted, and that's in the orange, and I did my Pythagoras theorem again and basically worked out for the size that I want, which I make a giant size, it was going to be perfect. The app I'm using is called Notability, and then when I get inside the program, I use a grid paper as the background, and then just use my Apple Pencil to colour in the squares and design my quilt. So I did this a few weeks ago now. I did it before I went out, so I can't actually remember how many. So I needed 490 blocks all up of these blocks, those blocks. That's what I worked out there when I counted all them up. 42, what's this, times 3.5? Oh, that must be how 147. That's how 147 is how long that is across there. I guess 147 inches, because I had 42 blocks, 3.5 inches, yep. And then I worked out, what's this down here? So Pythagoras, so a squared plus b squared equals 147 squared. 147 squared is 21,000. Dividing that by 2, why? Can't remember what I did now. I divided 21,000 by 2 because I had 2 equal length sides of my triangle. Then I took the square root of that number, which was 10,000, to get 103 inches. 103. So it's going to be 103 inches wide, and it is a square, so 100, that's my end. Yep. So I will buy some navy fabric and we'll start piecing that together. What I'm not sure of yet is whether I make all these coloured blocks random as they are here, or whether to still ombre the colours, or at least put them in like colours together still. So I'm gonna try both when it's hanging up on the wall and decide what I'd like to do. Okay, that's the end of the video. Please subscribe if you are interested in watching me make the rest of this
quilt. So the next stages will be designing, then we're going to be piecing, then I'm going to be sandwiching the layers and quilting it on a domestic machine and doing the binding. So if you want to stick around, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss anything. Again, say hello in the comments and we'll see you next video. Bye.